Well, everyone, I made a video talking about, the iPhones that everyone kind of loves on average. Now let's talk about the iPhones that pretty much everyone hates, I'll be honest. Now, obviously, not every single person who owns these iPhones may hate them. I've personally owned all of these iPhones, and there's pros and cons for all of them. But I pretty much am right there with you that most of these iPhones had a really bad effect on Apple in general for the whole entire life cycle. And starting off, as you guys probably already can see, the iPhone 6 Plus and kind of the iPhone 6. So I kind of want to split these up into two different phones. The iPhone 6 Plus, in my opinion, was a pretty big jump from the predecessor, the 5S, in terms of size, but there were so many issues with this phone. First of all, the very, very obvious one, the Bendgate issue that, plagued the entire iPhone 6 Plus and even iPhone 6 genre. This was, up until the iPhone 12, I think, it kind of surpassed it, but this was, along with the iPhone 6, the best-selling iPhone of all time. I think over 100 million units or something like that, and that is crazy. It's also one of the best-selling phones of all time as well, mostly because of that size increase. But with that size increase, Apple apparently didn't test out the bending capability, and a ton of these phones were bending in normal use cases. And that was a very scary thing, that's very sad. And when you have a phone like this, you spend a lot of money on it. You don't want it to just bend out of nowhere. And I think Apple's release cycle of this thing was also kind of weird, to be honest. But also, let's say that wasn't an issue. The jump in terms of performance and the camera and all the things that we kind of look at nowadays, there really wasn't that big of a jump from the iPhone 5S, to be honest. And that's why even up until this day, the 5S and the 6 stopped at the same time, because there were just so many similarities in terms of software support and everything. So that's kind of the 6 Plus. The iPhone 6, a lot of people complain about this phone as well. I personally like the iPhone 6. I own the 6 Plus as a main phone like in 2016, and I like the iPhone 6 as well. I think it's a great phone. A lot of people own this phone as well, but it kind of suffered the same things as the iPhone 6. There was no difference at all between the iPhone 6 and the 6 Plus, besides a battery increase and obviously the size increase as well. But that might have been big enough reason for people to go with the 6 Plus. But these are the two iPhones that, from my opinion, it really wasn't a good look for Apple. Although they made pretty big improvements in the size, it was a pretty big flop in so many ways. I'm surprised they sold that many, to be honest. Now, the second phone, or third phone, depending on how you look at it, the iPhone 5C. Now, this was another iPhone that was pretty much kind of like a cheaper model of the iPhone 5S, but it was more like an iPhone 5. And from my opinion, from everyone else's opinion, this was kind of another flop. I think it was kind of smart for them to release a cheap iPhone, but the fact that it wasn't alongside the iPhone 5S, like in terms of the same chipset, it stopped the same time the iPhone 5 stopped, and it really wasn't that much. Like, you can get an iPhone 5 in the used market at that time cheaper than an iPhone 5C, so there really wasn't a big reason to pick up the iPhone 5C. And I personally never loved this phone. It's kind of old now, so nobody really likes it anymore. Nobody really knows about it too much, but that's why I feel much more comfortable talking about it. But just even a couple years ago, people were super up at arms, but I think at this point, people are kind of understanding of like the iPhone 5C and kind of the limiting factor it had, in my opinion. Now, lastly, this is probably one of those iPhones that started off so strong, but ended up being such a flop, in my opinion. This iPhone is the iPhone 4S. Now, all these iPhones are old, and that's a really good thing because it looks like all these new iPhones are pretty stable. So hopefully we don't run into another crazy issue. But the iPhone 4S, it started off on a pretty strong release cycle. It was upcoming on the iPhone 4. It brought a couple cool things here and there. But the reason it flopped towards the ending, and I think most of the reason why people don't like it too much, is because it stopped at iOS 9, the same way it stopped at iPhone 5. And this was one of those iPhones that probably shouldn't have gotten the last version of software. And it is super buggy. Comparing the iPhone 4 and iOS 7 to an iPhone 4S and iOS 9, there are some strong differences between the two. The iPhone 4 is much smoother, in my opinion, which is super crazy to say. The iPhone 4S is very glitchy, and if you've ever watched any of my older videos, you'd probably agree to that. So take it as you will, but these are 4 of the iPhones that I think everyone pretty much hates, dislikes. Maybe hate is a strong word, but again, it's a catchy title. If you guys have any other iPhones that you've used that you probably don't like that much, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.